Lots of reaction from officials in the U.S., including a message just a few minutes ago from the Secretary of Homeland Security.
Yeah, plenty of reaction pouring in on this pause. In Trump world, of course, they're declaring victory, saying President Trump is showing signs of strength as a negotiator, the art of the deal. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt saying, and I'm quoting here, Canada is bending the knee just like Mexico. Just moments ago, as you noted, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem posting Trump is a master negotiator. This is just the beginning. Don't mess with the USA. But now the conservative-leaning Wall Street Journal just posted in an editorial moments ago saying Trump blinks on North American tariffs. The President Trump never admits a mistake, it writes, but he often changes his mind, saying that is the best way to read his decision. Now, this decision, this 11th hour agreement to pause tariffs against his neighbors for the next month, comes after both countries agreed to beef up their borders and crack down on fentanyl. But it should be noted, most of Canada's commitments were announced back in December, and Trump's critics are taking note. Watch.
Trump got rolled here. The supposed wins that he's trumpeting and his press secretary is trumpeting were already in place. I mean, you guys have reported on this as well. These were agreed to in the previous administration.
Now, White House officials accused the Canadians for not understanding the text of the executive order, saying it was all about stopping illegal drug flow into the U.S. But Canadian negotiators tell me privately that the administration was sending several mixed signals on their demands. Trump kept adding to his list of grievances beyond drugs and border, linking Canada's military spending to its trade and business practices. And even after Trump announced that 30-day reprieve, he questioned why the U.S. should trade with Canada at all. Watch.
What I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. We give them protection, military protection. We don't need them to build our cars. I'd rather see Detroit. We don't need them for the cars. We don't need them for lumber. We don't need them for anything. We don't need them for energy. We have more energy than they do. We don't need them for energy. So I say, why are we doing this?
Now, leading up to this pause, we've since learned of a major pressure campaign behind the scenes at the White House. Several industries, including the powerful U.S. auto sector, were reportedly pressuring top administration officials to build carve-outs so the auto sector would be exempted from tariffs since they comply with USMCA or the NAFTA 2.0 trade deal. Some governors were getting concerned how Canada's targeted threats of retaliation could hurt their local economies. I want you to listen to Kentucky's governor, Democrat Andy Beshear, on the impact of his state's bourbon exports potentially being banned up north.
Number we're worried about is zero. That's how many bottles of Kentucky bourbon were going to be on shelves in Canada, which again is our number one export partner. Listen, when anyone's policies threaten the livelihood of the people of Kentucky, I'm certainly going to speak up and speak out. And this tariff policy is a really bad idea.
So the White House ultimately agreed to the pause. And while these tariffs may be on hold for now, we know the threat isn't over. Trump's strategy to leverage the U.S. economy as a weapon to force other countries to make concessions may be causing instability, but to Trump's base, they see this as a major win for his domestic agenda.
And of course, we know that there are countries around the world that continue to watch how this situation involving Canada is unfolding, because we know right now the U.S. is in a trade war with China, and there are 10% tariffs on Chinese imports, and Beijing is retaliating. So what's the latest on that front?
Yeah, they sure are. So this is a trade war that is now escalating between the world's two largest economies. Trump's 10% tariffs on Chinese products have already taken effect, and Beijing is retaliating with its own targeted levies, including a 15% tax on U.S. energy exports and certain metals used for electronics and solar panels. China is also looking at slapping tariffs on Tesla's Cybertruck. Now, that's a company owned, of course, by Trump ally Elon Musk. And Beijing is launching an antitrust investigation into Google. But, of course, that search engine doesn't have much presence in China since it's blocked. Other things, China is also blacklisting a big U.S.-based holding company that owns clothing brands like Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger. So from Beijing's perspective, they say these opening shots aren't meant to hurt the U.S. economy, but instead send a message that things could get worse. Now, Trump slapped these 10% tariffs on China for exporting fentanyl. The White House says Trump will speak to Chinese President Xi Jinping later this week, so we'll see if they find a compromise or spark a larger confrontation. So while the U.S.-China tariff war is underway, the EU is also nervously watching to see if they're next.
Richard, thank you for this. That is the CBC's Richard Madden in Washington.